All right. So, while Ash separates the weak from the strong, um, I'll give us our quick summary of last session. Thank you, Ash, for the notes. Um, we started off last session with Henry seeking out Great Servant Rawl and asking about patrony things. Um, Henry was introduced to Great Servant Rawl's patron, um, who was big and scary, and there was bloody lights, and um, Henry was asked to bring Call's book as well as a vial of the death to the patron for his patronly services. Um, Henry did not give an answer at the time, but also the memory of said interaction was taken out of his head, and all he remembers is he needs those things to be given the power to save Call. Um, Next, the party went back to the Air Genasi and Half Elf in the Half a Mug to test the um, test the device that Jenna, the half elf, has been making. The test went pretty well, sending Ren into the liminal space that Call is currently residing in. Um, Ren was only there for a brief second, didn't even get a chance to fully look around the space. Only saw Call unconscious, but they assume alive, before being teleported back out, um, kind of unintentionally, to discover that Jenna's device had fallen apart slightly, um, and that is why Ren wasn't able to actually, achieve their objective. Um, you also find out that Jenna was kicked out of the university by Galdanis, and there was just a small fire. There was a small fire, um, and then because seeing Call and not being able to save them was a little traumatic, uh, Ren and Henry retreated to Ren's room. On the way, they heard trumpets, and lots of excitement, only to find out that there are a lot of soldiers marching into the city, wearing mostly Storguard colors, with the exception of a small contingent of soldiers wearing the King's Blue, who were leading, blowing trumpets, and announcing victory, the war is over. Um, Henry then went and talked to some of the Storguard soldiers who were like, I mean, it certainly didn't feel like we won. Um, and also, the party received Call's response to Ren's sending, um, and that is where we left off. So, I believe Henry and Ren are still in the courtyard, kind of watching a few soldiers mill about.
Yep. Okay. Um, how does Henry look right now?
Hmm?
How does Henry look right now?
You want to make an insight check? You can go ahead and go for that.
Let's go for an inside check. Okay, that's a 16.
Uh, that beats my 10 deception check. Um, Henry, okay, so in order to give you a good answer, so when we left off last session, the king's soldiers went into the courtyard went into the Great Hall, assuming to report to Ander, and we were still in the courtyard. And then Ben says 20 minutes after we talk to those Storgard soldiers, we get the sending from Call. So, I'm assuming that we're picking up right after the sending. Um, I'm assuming after the sending, Ren tells it to Henry. But Henry would have already told Ren that he wants to stick around and wait for the soldiers to get out. Because if we're picking up 20 minutes later, like there's no way that Henry wouldn't have said that. So, with Ren knowing that they're waiting, it's been a bit. It's been probably 30 minutes now, and they're still waiting. Henry has been getting more and more antsy. He seemed pretty calm after talking to the Storguard soldiers. Um, but he is pretty frequently looking at the doors anytime there's any sort of knocking noise or any sort of like noise. He looks over at the doors to like see if they're opening. Um, he is he's waiting for those soldiers. He is a mix of nervous and excited and yeah, I think that's probably about all that he would be showing.
Okay. Okay, so we're still in the courtyard, and there are doors that we're watching.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Um, Ren's also looking kind of antsy, but like Henry seems like he's like wanting to do something right now. So, are we waiting for someone?
Yeah, I uh this is Henry. This is Henry doing this. Um I I really want to talk to them. I really want to talk to the soldiers, the blue soldiers. I want to see what they have to say.
Okay.
Um, is there anything that we need to be doing right now?
We have we've made contact with Call. Um, I think our next steps, which we should do immediately, are prepare what we want to tell Call next, and we need to report this to Captain Dawn. Um, I doubt that she's pleased with the current situation, but reporting and showing that we're making progress has to be better than nothing. So I think we should ask Captain Dawn and see if she has anything that she would like to say to Call. Um, does that sound right?
Yeah. Sorry, forgive me. I'm having a really hard time focusing between all of the things that are very critically important right now. Um, and you can see he's kind of like stimming with his hands, kind of like squeezing them and he just kind of takes a deep breath. And as he exhales, he calms a little bit, and he takes another deep breath and calms a little bit more. Um, and he says, I want to talk to Call. I want to hear their voice. They're not alone. I want to know who's there. Um, I want to hear their voice. He kind of gets worked up a little bit and then takes another deep breath and says, but above my selfish want, I think it's most important that we get them back as quickly as possible. Last night when I gave a sending to Bennett, he mentioned he could talk to the High Mage. Do we think that we should follow up? Because I only get once a day. Should we follow up with Bennett tonight on that lead and wait to contact Call tomorrow night? Or do you think we should contact Call tonight and then contact Bennett tomorrow and give him an extra day to like figure out what's going on with the High Mage?
When Henry frames contacting Call as selfish, Ren gets a really weird look in his face, but he's still listening.
Can I do an insight check?
If you like.
21.
Ren's fine.
Okay,
26.
Ren gets a weird look in his face. Nice. Ren gets a weird look in his face, but he's still listening.
Yes. So, there are other methods that we can use to talk to Call. I was able to use a scroll last time. I can ask Master Barnabas if he would be willing to use a spell for us. So if you would like to speak to Bennett, go ahead, and I will make sure that we can talk to Call. I promise them that they'll be contacted once a day, and I'm not going to deny them that comfort and stability.
Okay. I think that makes sense. Henry's looking very torn. Like he's looking very like conflicted. Yeah, if you can I mean, I have my whole life to talk to Bennett over with this stone. I don't need to talk to him for any other reason to find out if he can get Call back. But I think maybe we contact Call tonight with my stone. If you could ask Master Barnabas for additional scrolls so that we can use my stone to talk to Bennett tomorrow, but still talk to Call tomorrow as well. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so first we should go report to Captain Dawn.
Okay. Henry looks at the door again, the door to the... Ben, what's it called? The Great Hall? The throne
Great
room?
Hall.
Great Hall. Henry throws a look at the doors of the Great Hall. Ben, does Henry have any sort of thought on how long the report would take? Because talking to Captain Dawn is very important, but talking to those soldiers is also very important to him.
Make an insight check, just so you can roll a dice for it.
12.
You have no idea what their report is. You have no idea how long they could possibly take. If all they're going to say is the war is over, we won, they'd be out by now. So there must be something else that they're telling him, and you have no idea what that is or how long it could take.
Okay.
Ren will offer to go talk to Captain Dawn himself if Henry wants to wait here by the Great Hall.
I think Henry looks unhappy at that. Like he looks kind of like, I don't like that. And says, "Can we wait 10 more minutes? And if The doors don't open in 10 minutes. We can go.
Okay.
And then Henry immediately strikes up a small talk conversation.
You wait the 10 minutes, and there's still no sign. A couple of the soldiers that returned that are in Storgard Green go in, but no one comes out.
Kenda, Zerka's office is in the courtyard.
Correct.
If we left her door open, would Henry see if people were coming out?
So Zerka's office living quarter building, the door faces away from the Great Hall, so you wouldn't be able to see it from inside. But I mean, you would still be in the courtyard.
Henry decides that we can go talk to Zerka, and it's not like the soldiers are just gonna like run away, probably. And hopefully Chels is inside and he can ask her tomorrow. So, we wait 10 minutes. Henry kind of decides that in his head and then says, all right, let's go.
Okay. So they will go to Zerka's office.
All right. Y'all get to the door. It is closed.
Ren will knock on the door.
You have to wait a little while. But then after a fair pause, Zerka does open the door. And she you are used to her looking rather put together. Her fur in some places is matted. And she just looks fully disheveled. You see what looks to be a little bit of blood on the side of her face, but also because fur, you can kind of tell either it's a very, very small cut on her face or it's not hers. But she opens the door and sees the two of you and stares for a second before just walking behind her desk and turning to face you. Also, you would notice that the chair looks real new.
She smashed it.
Okay.
That
is some environmental storytelling. Yes, Bronwyn.
That is.
God.
Okay.
Ren will step inside.
Henry does too, and I think like as soon as they're inside, his hands just start glowing, and he says, "Do you need any healing?"
She shakes her head very slightly, and one of her ears twitches, kind of looking annoyed.
Ren will just get straight to it. We have an update. We have made contact with Call. They are unharmed.
She like fully looks up at you at that, and where she was like leaning her hands onto her desk, she stands up. Her hands stay in the same position, but they're no longer touching the desk, so their like fingers are kind of splayed out slightly above the desk now. And she doesn't say anything, but she looks at you expectantly.
We are pursuing a couple of options to actually bring Call back. We found their location, so we can easily find them next time. That should be easier to do. The next step is to just bring them back from that extra dimensional space. Both options that we are pursuing, we are fairly certain that they will take that they would be most effective if performed under the dual moon, which is in 3 days. Is that 2 days now? Or
It is still. Sorry. Let me
I think
look.
it's still 3 days.
It is still 3 days. It is still 3 days. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, all of this has happened in the same day.
Okay.
Paul was gone yesterday, right?
Correct.
And then now it's next day. Okay.
So yeah, Ren is going to lay that out like, okay, we have 2 options. Both of them would be most effective and most likely to succeed on the dual moon. We are keeping in contact with Call with the sending spell. And there is a slight, he's even going to make her aware, there's a slight chance of ascending not getting through to other planes, but so far they've been successful. And Ren plans to contact Call again today, and he asks her if there is anything that she would like to tell or ask Call in that message.
She stands frozen for a little bit. Her right ear is like, it's not really twitching, but it's like it keeps turning slightly, as if she's listening for something behind her. She stands very, very still, other than just that ear moving slightly. And then she says, I know sending is limited. If you have extra space, tell them I'm working on it. But don't sacrifice any effective messaging to let them know that.
Understood.
Henry says, have you ever used the sending spell before?
I have been a recipient.
Then you know you can hear the person's voice. Would you like to do the sending instead of us?
As if she realizes that she's standing there with her fingers splayed over her desk, her arms fall to her sides and her hands ball into fists. And her eyes close hard for a second. And she says, I'll hear their voice when they're back.
Yes, you will.
Ren nods. He respects that deeply. Yeah, I think even scrolls take a spell slot to use. So I'm trying to decide whether Ren would ask this. Not today, but so he'll just promise that he'll come back and report any time that they have any new information, and excuse himself, I guess, if there's nothing else.
As you are going through that kind of finish up a report type thing, you hear, you can't quite make out the words yet, but you hear some shouting coming from out the door.
Okay.
Henry does a little, his little courtesy bow and says, thank you, Captain, and bolts out the door.
As soon as you open the door, you find Pym and Andy holding Dirk, who is struggling to get to the door.
Henry, I think, freezes because I think Henry assumed it would be like the soldiers coming out of the Great Hall. And he just kind of freezes. Wait, Dirk? Is Dirk around?
Mm-hmm.
So
Dirk-
it's the four.
Yeah, Dirk, Jax, Pym, and Andy.
Okay.
You will note that you do not see Jax.
I think Henry just kind of freezes.
I gotta make a couple rolls.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't have dice picked out for them, so I'm just gonna. Oh, I do have a dice picked out.
No, get them out. You got Andy's dice.
I do have Andy, but I don't have everyone. I don't have a dice for Dirk or Pym, so I'm just gonna use some random dice for them. And of course, I've actually made all three of them, so I have to add all of their bonuses. um, um, that's Dirk rolled a 24. Andy got a 19, and Pym got a nat 1. So
Dirk escapes.
Dirk isn't actually trying to escape. Dirk is just trying to break an arm free to make. Is Henry wearing his armor? This is still
Henry
the
would have.
same.
Yeah, he would have worn it to go see the Light Hands that morning and to go pick up Oster and Jenna because he doesn't dress like that. And they all know who he is anyway, so he is wearing his armor.
Okay. Okay, well, so a 13 does not hit. As Dirk finally Dirk struggling, frees an arm, pulls a dagger and throws it at Henry. And he is shouting. It's not even all that intelligible. It's mostly curse words. But it is very obvious that he holds the two of you to blame for call missing.
Can Henry give his reaction?
Go ahead.
Henry, I'm assuming we're within 40 feet.
So Henry is Yeah, you're in like within 10 feet of him.
Okay. So Henry's just instant response is he walks up to Dirk and Henry is very strong and he puts his hands like on Dirk's shoulders and he says, I am going to get them back. No matter what I have to do, they will be back this week. Or in a matter of days.
He is yelling the whole time, and looking at his face, you can tell that he's not hearing you. And then a very sharp word from behind you as you hear Zerka just yells, Dirk! And there is still fury in his face, but he freezes. And in a second, Zerka is next to you and says, move along, I will handle him.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Henry, does his yes ma'am, and says yes ma'am, and leaves.
What's Ren doing?
Ren will, I think he's stunned for like an extra second, which is funny considering he wasn't the one who was attacked. but he'll follow Henry out.
I will point out that, like, from his yelling, he does not seem to be specifically angry with Henry. He's angry with the two of you, and he
Yes.
threw a knife at Henry because Henry was the one standing in the doorway.
Yes.
As you leave, you can hear a very faint voice, but you don't, like you can't make it out.
Okay. I think after they've gone far away enough from that, I think Ren is going to... We should tell Jax. I should have told him yesterday.
Henry kind of like, look, because Henry's booking it, and he kind of like looks back at Ren, confused.
Jax is in the barracks. He's indisposed at the moment. I believe he still is.
So the door of Zerka's office and living quarters is 10 feet from the door to the Dozens barracks. And that is where Pym, Andy, and Dirk were coming out of.
Yeah. So, yeah. At the very least, Ren wants to give Jax an update. Because that would be the big boy thing to do.
Henry does not say this. Asher wants to say, Jax, why are you two... What? Because Henry doesn't know that Ren and Jax have ever spoken outside of, like, the times that we've been together.
Does Henry know that Jax has been, like, laid up in bed with his, like, ribs broken? I'm pretty sure Henry's seen that.
Knows that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So,
Ren specifically called out Jax, but did not say Andy or Pym or Dirk.
because, Ren hasn't seen Andy or Pym or Dirk in a while, and he, like, has not spoken to any of them directly, I think.
Yeah, so...
At the very least, they have more opportunity to, I think, get to know things. And Jax is kind of... I don't know. Ren's feeling is... if Call was one of the people who was, like, coming in and out and, like, checking on Jax, and then Call's suddenly not there, then Ren feels like it was a really shitty thing to do that he didn't tell Jax yesterday. So he at least wants to, like, check on Jax.
I think you can see, so on Henry's face, he's confused, but also it looks like he's, like, putting things together. He's like, and he goes, right now? And kind of looks back at, like, the direction that they just came from.
Yes, right now. This
Oh, I'm coming with you.
Okay.
And I think Henry kind of... He doesn't stand in front of Ren, but I think they've been in enough fights together that he kind of does the posture of, like, I am Tank.
I love
like...
Henry so much.
He's like... Henry looks at the Great Hall doors again, if possible, or at least looks in that direction, and he goes, let's go.
As you turn back, you see Andy and Pym kind of not towards you, but walking out the same kind of direction that y'all did, talking in hushed voices. And give me a perception check real quick.
Nat 20.
Okay.
16.
So there are other barracks nearby this. Actually, I think it's just barracks. Nearby the dozen barracks. A few roofs away, you see Dirk literally pacing on a roof, slowly pulling things out of pockets, and just throwing them. Just haphazardly around, and he's pacing back and forth on the roof. You do not see Zerka, you do not see Jax.
Jax isn't in the barracks?
You're not in the barracks, you're
Oh.
walking back towards it.
Okay.
Okay.
Bronwyn, I hope you feel fucking loved right now. Sorry, go ahead, Jen.
Paul is very loved. Okay.
Henry, is always glowing and has his aura. I think he tries to intentionally hug Ren with it.
Or a hug.
Just like he wants Ren to feel that the aura is there. That's all.
I think Ren would give Henry like a quick squeeze on the shoulder, just to kind of message received, and I think he'll knock on the barracks door and push it open.
Like as you even start knocking on it, it's like begins to swing open. You get the sense that maybe it wasn't closed fully in the recent activity. And as you go in, Jack's bed is, as you enter, on the right, the first bed. And he's sitting there with his lute in his hands. He doesn't look up immediately as you come in. He's not playing. But he's sitting there holding his lute.
Yeah, I think Ren will just kind of step like barely in, like he obviously doesn't feel welcome or like he has the right to enter, but like he's inside the doorway now, and he's just gonna like prompt him with Jax.
He looks up and sees your face, and I need an insight check before I describe his expression.
5.
23.
On a 5, you aren't able to pick up, but Henry, you do, that he smiles big. And it is a customer service smile. It is a it is a smile that means nothing.
Yeah. Henry is well aware of those kinds of things.
Even with a low roll of 5, you don't understand what the expression means, but it doesn't make sense at all to you. Like you're not looking at it and thinking, "Oh, Jax is happy." You're just confused by what's happening. And
that was the worst thing that could have happened.
And upon seeing the two of you, so that big smile, and then he does a little run on his lute that sounds cheery and major key song. And Henry, with your 23, like, so aside from the smile being too big to customer service, a 23 is really fucking good, and you can just see nothing behind his eyes. Um, and he calls you both by name. He's Ren, Henry. Can I help you?
Oh, Ren wants to crawl into a hole and die. Okay.
I think Henry cringes a little bit. Like, I don't think he can help it.
I think Ren is going to try and keep his expression very neutral, but also like not neutral as if like he doesn't feel anything, but like clearly he's not believing that Jax is really all happy, and then he like Ren's not pretending that this is going to be a happy conversation or like he's really a good person right then. So I guess Ren will walk in and stand, not take a seat anywhere. Um, I'm sorry. I should have come to talk to you yesterday. Um, have you heard the situation from Captain Dawn?
He looks. He's looking at you, um, but his eyes aren't focused, as if he's not actually looking at you, but looking past you. And the little tune that he had started playing falters. Um, and his head kind of quirks to the side a little bit. He says, like his face looks a little confused for a second, and then it sounds more like he's talking to himself than to you. He says, "I'm sure Zerka will handle it." And then much quieter, as if he were just talking to himself and there were no one in the room, he says, "Zerka always handles it."
Okay. So Ren is assuming that that means that Call knows the general situation. Um, so he's going to give Jax the same update, the same reassurances, as good as they are, that Call is unharmed. They made contact with them yesterday or today, like hours ago, and that they have a solid, a couple of different solid plans to bring them back during the dual moon. They'll try and contact Call again if there's anything Jax would like to say to them. So yeah, basically same thing. And just like showing Jax like the utmost respect as like, your Call's friend, and like just acknowledging that Jax has feelings in this, I guess. Um so
Um, he looks to be doing his best to pay attention to what you say. But it doesn't really seem to be sticking. He perks up very slightly when you mention that you saw them. But as the sentence continues and it becomes clear that you haven't gotten them back, he just kind of falls back. He doesn't address basically any of the questions you ask him. and just instead whispers again, Zirka will handle it.
I think Henry, like when he says Zirka will handle it, Henry touches Ren's arm and just kind of like, not quite whispers, but kind of like mouths like we should go.
Ren will just tell Jax that he'll come tell him if they have any updates. And excuse himself.
Man, that's a lighthearted look at it. Browen just typed, call's gonna end up with so many people trying to magic them back at once, they'll end up being 3 smaller calls. Honestly, great. Amazing.
One
image.
for Henry, one for Ren, and one for Zirka. Sit on their shoulder.
See, like, that'll happen if it all happens at exactly the same time. What I more expect is that, like, all of the plans will finish at slightly different times. So Call will just get, like, bamfed to 3 different locations in quick succession.
It's like...
The vertigo. Call gets to their last destination and just throws up.
Goodness. Okay.
Alright. So, the 2 of you leave?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As you walk away from the barracks for the second time, Henry, you look to those gates, or to the doors to the Great Hall, and you see a very small crowd, only like 8-ish people are standing in front of the gate, and you can see one of them is wearing that blue uniform.
Henry turns to Ren and says, can we go talk to them?
Ren just nods and he'll follow Henry.
He takes Ren's hand and pulls Ren along with him in a way that, like, when we were on our way to the Half-a-Mug earlier, Henry was holding Ren's hand in a way of, like, I'm here with you. We're in this together. Like, in a way of, like, trying to comfort Ren is how it felt. In this moment, it's, I need you to comfort me. I need to hold your hand because I need it. And holds Ren's hand and did it that way.
Okay.
So this group is mostly soldiers wearing Storguard green, mostly human. There is the one guy wearing Kachin colors, and there is also a gnome. Is the only, like, the rest are humans in Storguard green, but there's a gnome also wearing Storguard green in the group as well.
Henry starts walking toward them, not like super quickly, but like at trying his hardest to make it a normal pace. And as they kind of maybe get like 20 or 30 feet from where they were standing, Henry lets go of Ren's hand and like walks in a like, I am an official person type of stance with his armor, his shiny armor, and just walks at a normal pace up to the group, and he is the whole time trying to overhear what they're saying as he approaches.
Give me a perception check.
Okay. 9.
Blood is pounding in your ears, and you cannot hear them. Like you begin to hear their voices as you approach to like conversation distance with them.
Okay, so like he is going to fully approach and try to join the circle, join the crowd. So what happens then?
Um, a couple of the soldiers kind of notice you and give you like slightly confused looks, but don't like box you out. So you are in the circle now, just in time to hear one of them ask. So you can hear them talking about pay. The soldiers in Storgard Green seem to be asking the one in blue if he had any information about pay, both from the crown and from Ander himself.
Okay. Henry's
Uh,
just listening.
the Kachin soldier says, um, "Pay from the crown will come to the address listed when you enlisted. As for pay from your count, that's just not information I have. He didn't speak of any extra pay while we were reporting to him, and they all kind of seem a little deflated by that because that they're definitely going to wait before they get their pay, whatever it is. The conversation kind of lulls at that moment.
Henry doesn't want to interrupt what they're talking about.
Well, I
These
mean,
are
they've gone quiet. Like they are either thinking of the next question to ask or are just contemplating what the information they've just been given.
Henry realizes in this moment that he has nothing prepared. Nothing prepared to say. He has so many questions and so many thoughts, but nothing that he can say out loud. I'm going to be thinking in real time with Henry. So if you want to, if a soldier jumps in before Henry can, great. If not, then I'll come up with my question.
The gnome speaks up and says, "Well, do we know when the rest of the soldiers are coming back?" And the Kachin soldier kind of looks at him. Kind of makes a little bit of a face and says, "No, I was sent here with y'all. I don't have any further information on the other soldiers." And then he like thinks for a second. He's like, "I mean, most of them won't be able to afford the teleportation cost, so they'll be making the march back all the way from Guran."
Henry decides that Henry suddenly gets very nervous and decides that he wants to talk to the blue soldier alone, or like he wants to have a chance to be able to use his charisma and persuasion and smooching skills to ask his question.
Okay.
So, unless you think differently, DM, Henry thinks it'd be best if it was like he asks if he can buy the herald a drink and get him talking.
I mean, you can certainly ask him that. Do you want to like? Are you asking him that right now?
I don't particularly want to ask him in front of the green soldiers because Henry thinks that all of them deserve a drink to bought for them, but specifically wants to talk to the blue soldier.
Okay, so are you going to back off and wait?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think Henry's gonna like pretend he sees something and kind of gestures to Ren like over to the side and then turns to Ren and kind of whispers, "Yeah, so I have something to talk to you about." And he kind of like turns completely away from the group of soldiers. He's like, "But not really. We need to be making conversation now." And kind of just like is like saying nothing, but is talking.
Henry. Ren nods and listens attentively.
Such a good friend.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and we wait, and Henry tries to overhear what they're talking about while he's just kind of muttering. Um,
Um, I mean, there's a lot more of the same. As you're waiting there, a few more soldiers come up and start repeating questions. But as the new ones start asking questions, the ones that were already there start answering in place of the Kachin soldier. And after a bit, they kind of start spreading out and dispersing to go, go tell different groups at different times. And some of them have a buddy who isn't back yet, who they need to go tell his family or their family. So like it slowly begins to break up until it's just one or two Storguard soldiers. One of them being the gnome is still hanging out with the Kachin soldier, who is like he less of the questions are being directed at him because it's just like word is trying to spread.
mhm.
So he's slowly talking less and less. But as you're watching him, and there's enough people now that it's hard to make out what is being said because you aren't like right next to him. You do notice that occasionally the gnome keeps asking him questions, and the other Storguard soldiers seem to be breaking off into their own conversations.
Okay, well, I think Henry approaches at that point, and when there's kind of a break, he, greets them, says hello, says his name and his rank, who he is, and looks at the blue soldier, the gnome, and like if there's like a 2 or 3 people standing right there.
Yeah.
And he like says, excuse me for interrupting, and looks at the blue soldier and says, can I buy you a drink?
Roll a persuasion check real quick. With advantage because you're offering a soldier a drink. You didn't get 2 nat ones.
I did not. I got a 2 and a 3. That's what I rolled. Persuasion, I think I have a +6, so that's a 9. But wait, do I want to use my inspiration?
Can't get more until you use it.
I think I'm gonna use my inspiration.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, that's a 19.
Okay. His face kind of lights up, and he just kind of gestures, "Lead the way." And he
Okay.
immediately is following you.
Okay. I think Henry kind of strikes up camera. Henry kind of strikes up a just kind of generic conversation. He like thanks him for his service and just kind of asks, oh, where are you from? Are you heading back there soon? Kind of talk.
He references a small village that he says I don't expect you've heard of it, but I come from a small village near Caerullium. Um, my father was a soldier and lists his like lineage a little bit of he's been in a line of soldiers for a long time. Um, and just I mean carries conversation easily. Mentions he and the other Kachin soldiers will be staying in the city for the night and then returning to the duchy that I again intended to name before the session but did not. Um, Man, we are having bad frame issues, and I don't know how to fix it. Um, uh, but they'll be returning there to use the teleportation circle to get back to Caerullium in the morning. Um, he says, so I don't even have to march that far, so it won't matter if I'm a little hungover. And he just keeps walking with you.
Yeah.
Is,
Great. Yeah.
Is Ren coming as well?
Yeah.
Henry has asked this guy his name at like pretty early on in the conversation.
He lists his rank, which is first ensign, and then his name is um, his name is John.
Okay. Would Henry recognize the name of the town that Homie's from?
He
since
he
he's
does he
traveled a
doesn't
lot?
even say the name of the town. He just says
Oh, okay.
small town near Caerullium. He doesn't seem super proud of the town, but he does seem proud of proximity to Caerullium.
Cool. Well, I think they get to the bar, more small talk. Henry takes him to like a pretty nearby one. Not super expensive, but also not like a seedy bar. Like just like a respectable, good drinks bar.
So do you take him out of the noble quarter? Because
I mean, yeah, I would think so.
okay, so it's a little bit further to do so. But also you're not taking him to a hoity-toity place.
Yeah, I just don't think that makes sense.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. So yeah, are you pumping drinks into him, or are you just buying him drinks and trying to chat him up?
He's not pumping drinks into him the way he would like, I don't know. He's trying his best to be very cool about this.
Okay, so just trying to not let his cup be empty.
Yeah, trying to let not yeah, trying to yeah, but also Henry is slowly drinking, and if John says anything about it, he says, "Oh, well, or well, no, I guess Henry's matching him drink for drink, but he's not having dwarven ale, so it's not really doing anything for him." Or it's not like nothing, but John is getting way drunker than Henry is comparatively.
Okay, go ahead and spend a gold piece for me. And he is slurring words.
Nice. So I think kind of right before the slur words, kind of like, well, no. I think, yeah, okay, he's slurring words, and Henry is like, man, so what were y'all even doing over there?
He he kind of raises his mug and says, "Glory for king and kingdom," and kind of slams it down. And then he chuckles a little bit and then leans in real close to you and kind of whispers, but also at full volume because he's drunk and can't whisper. He says, I actually wasn't fighting. I my position is more of honorary because of my dad.
Oh.
And then he chuckles a little bit and goes, shh, and sits back up and then takes another drink.
Yeah. Like, and I think Henry goes, "Glory to the king," and slams his mic. That's kind of like a
Mhm.
recipient,
And there's
loud.
throughout the tavern, there's a good king.
It's okay.
You hear some guy in the corner and but even he doesn't really have his heart in it.
Um. Uh. Sorry, Asher.exe stopped running. Um, Henry asks, "Oh, so like quietly, because this is a secret. He's like, so did you see like lots of fighting? What was there a lot of like bloodshed? Did y'all find what you were looking for?"
um, he kind of blinks a little bit and he says, "No, I didn't. I didn't fight."
Hmm.
And he says, "Uh, but he like makes a show of thinking for a second. He says, "You know, there were orders to march that were canceled the morning everyone was sent home. So he like he looks like he is very slowly putting two puzzle pieces together in his head. He goes, so I don't know how much anybody knew this was coming."
Oh, I guess the king changed his mind.
He kind of frowns a little bit, like he's just a little confused. And then, kind of thinking out loud, goes, "Can I do that?"
Apparently. To the king! And Henry,
Okay. Goes throughout the tavern again.
yeah.
What is Ren doing?
Yeah, what is Red doing? I want to know.
Ren is not joining any of the toasts. He's just kind of watching, like, kind of half watching, listening. He has the same cider that he started the evening with. Tiny note, I just want to establish Ren has been wearing his cloak again. He's not even wearing his hair up, just no ribbon or anything. Just hair down, cloak. And I think he's wearing his gloves. So, but he's just got the same cider, and he's just sipping on it like a little girl. So, that's him.
Well, Henry?
Uh, um, I think Henry kind of changes tactics and says, "Oh, so your dad is important. Do you live in Kyrulium?"
He just nods.
Yeah.
Like when you mention your dad is important, he starts nodding and hasn't stopped yet.
He's like, "Do you get to go to parties, like with important people?"
Um, he picks up his mug and frowns a little bit and slowly turns it over and like one drop falls out of it and he looks like really concerned for a second and then his eyes brighten up and he looks for the bartender.
Henry, was like, "Yeah, fill this guy's cup up. Let's, more."
And then he sits and thinks for a second and goes, "Not recently, because of um, war. Because of the war.
Ah, yeah. Yeah. But like before that, did you get to go to parties?
Yeah, sometimes. My dad, always got like invites to the when people got medals and all that. Sometimes he even gave them.
Ooh.
Sometimes. Um, but we just yeah, uh the stuff there isn't as strong as this. And he looks down to his now full mug.
He's like, well, you better drink it up while you're here.
He's like, he just kind of like points at you
Yeah.
and then starts drinking.
So like, who is the most important person that you've been in a room with?
In a room with, the king usually is there for the the um the buttons.
Oh, the medals. Yes.
Yeah.
The award. Mm-hmm.
He's there. I don't talk to him. I don't get to talk to. Dad does in an official capacity. But like not like talk to him.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. That's like really important.
He just kind of
Ren is every so now again, like, nodding encouragingly, like, yeah, that was a good point, Henry. Like, he's just kind of nodding, like, I'm backing you up as lazily as possible. But, oh my god, speaking of lazy, look at that.
Oh my gosh, look at the
boy.
prince. The boy. We're talking about the king, but look at the prince. Look at the prince. A good boy. Oh.
This child wouldn't last a day in the wild.
And he'll
He
never
will never
need
have
to.
to. Exactly. Yeah. And he's like, oh well. Henry takes a long drink from his mug, probably a longer drink than he has all night. He's like, so do you like hear the cool gossip about?
He sits and thinks for a second. He goes, gossip. And then he like squints a little bit and he says, my sister's always really good at the gossip stuff. She's really good at it.
Oh, I've always wanted to see a royal wedding. I wonder what that's like.
He just kind of makes a face and he's like, the prince is like 4.
The
No,
prince?
no, he's older than that. No, he's like, give me a second. I want a realistic guess. Um, I need to open different document. Where is family trees? He's like, no, he's older than that. He's like 10. He looks like 10.
Oh, is the prince next in line for the throne?
Well, no, he's got an older sister.
Oh.
And a younger one. Yeah, a younger one.
Henry just kind of keeps talking about whatever, and then I think doesn't ask any more interesting questions.
Is there anything else y'all wanted to do tonight?
I mean, sending to call.
Okay.
So,
Handsome prince.
handsome prince.
His
I
white is so white. His gray is so gray.
So I'm guessing we leave Homie there early
Very,
evening.
very happy.
Very, very happy.
I mean, it would be full on evening by now.
I think Henry's gonna ask, do you need an escort back to your rooms? To your tavern? Wherever you're staying?
His brow furrows like hard. And he goes, and he pulls out like a little scroll from in his shirt. He unrolls it and he says, "By King
Henry looks over his shoulder and reads it.
it says by King's decree, this shoulder is to be given room and board for his travel both to and from the county Storat.
But there's no name of like an inn or anything.
There's no specific place. It's just like he presents a writ to any citizen of Katugar and should be given what he is needed.
Okay. Well, in that case, I think Henry's going to be like, okay, there's no way he knows where he's going. There's no way he's going to be able to tell me where the other comrades are. So I think they're just going to peace out. And the homie can... Or I think Henry asks, like, well, I think we need to go, but are you going to stay? If not, we can help you find an inn.
He looks at his mug that's like half full and he goes, I'll be good here. And then he kind of slumps a little lower in his chair.
I think he's like, oh, well, it was great talking to you. You know, it was great to meet you. And as they leave, Henry talks to the bartender and says, give that man a water.
As you leave, he has brought the water and he looks very happy to pick it up and start drinking. And he looks as if he's trying to just chug the whole cup. And then he puts it down and makes a face. And then sets it to the side and starts drinking his beer again.
I think Henry also orders the equivalent of like cheese fries.
Yeah, just some tavern food.
Yeah. He like orders him some food.
That he looks very happy about.
Okay, good. Like I don't want to leave this man high and dry after I pumped him full of alcohol.
He is not dry.
And got...
He is in no way dry.
All right. So Henry was acting a little bit drunk in there. As soon as they walk out of the bar, he straightens up and just looks completely sober. And he and he looks at Ren and he's like, thank you for indulging me in that.
I think when Henry's disposition like immediately is like, yeah, I'm not drunk. I think Ren actually snorts a little bit. But he just kind of nods.
Should we go get dinner and make a plan of what we're gonna do our sending for? It should be around 9 p.m. Is that right, Ben?
I think it's 10:30 actually.
Oh yeah, because Henry dropped the ball. He's like, okay, well, I can do my sending again tonight at 10:30. So I think we have a couple hours if we want to get dinner and make a plan.
Although I'll actually say, because you missed a day, you would have since then you would have been able to choose any time in the day. Mm-hmm. So it could be a bit earlier if you would have chose to do that.
I think 8 p.m. is when he would have chosen.
Okay. So yeah, if y'all want to work up that real quick.
Okay.
I definitely drafted one, but Henry's gonna do it this time. So
I mean,
if you want to see mine at all, then yeah.
y'all can certainly talk about it before it actually is sent. So
Yeah, so Astra, I'll send you what I have and you can change it however, or do whatever Henry would do.
excuse me.
Okay, so I like this. I think instead of likely can't get you for until dual moon, in case, in case Call doesn't know, when that is, or if time is passing differently or anything. Because also they were knocked out for a long time, so, or Call doesn't know how long they were knocked out. So maybe say, found you, uh, we'll try to get you in 3 days.
Oh,
I
yeah,
guess
like-
you have 3 days in there.
Yeah, that's why he added 3 days, just in case, like, context for dual moon. This is why we can't get you yet.
Yeah, no,
so-
you're right.
Yeah, but
I think that's good.
That's just okay. Yeah, please, if you want to scrap it and like do whatever Henry would do, but that's just Ren's input. So
No, I think that that's great. There's nothing else Henry would want to add. So, I think in the hours leading up to it, Henry's just very like, oh, let's just talk. Let's like Henry doesn't stop talking unless Ren is talking, and then he talks some more.
Ren is not talking.
So yeah, Henry's just monologuing. It's very apparent that he does not want to be quiet and with his thoughts, since they're not doing anything.
So when is the earliest they can send the sending again?
8 p.m.
Okay. And it's after that, right?
We are certainly. I would say we are like right there.
Okay.
'Cause, like I assume that y'all would be planning on sending it the second you can.
Yeah.
And like working on the sending itself until like clock strikes and then you would send.
So maybe we leave John at like 6 p.m. We go and, get dinner and we sit and we're planning it. And then we're back in Ren's room at like 7:30. And then right at 8, we send it.
That's all perfectly manageable.
Great. So right at 8, Henry he pulls out his opal sending stone that's around his neck, holds it, and he says, found you. Likely can't get you until dual moon. 3 days. Stronger magic is needed. Everyone misses you. Captain says, working on it. Not alone? Danger? Put that in chat.
I'm gonna run to the restroom just real quick.
All right. Waiting for Call's response. Hell.
Bronwyn, I miss your beautiful face and your beautiful expressions.
I know, me too.
I was doing silly little exercises. Y'all didn't want to see me sweat. And now I can't go on camera because it would mess up the framing on the stream.
Ben could fix it.
It's okay.
I think
I'm
it would mess
sweaty.
it up, would it?
It would. Ben has like the order that we're in changes when I go on video.
Oh, gotcha.
So Ben would have to change the frame that he's using.
We're doing good, guys.
We're doing good.
So, how about Jax definitely being in shock?
That was painful.
What?
Jax being in
That was
shock.
so much.
That was a lot.
That hurted.
That hurted a lot. In hindsight, I really wish I would have said that Henry did an insight check on Andy. But not likely I would have gotten anything anyway. Yeah.
Have we call? We can get a call response if call is, or well, actually first, Henry, you sent it. Roll me a d20, please.
8.
Call does get it. Call, you would be awake to respond.
Okay. Okay. Give Call a moment.
Before you send or say anything, roll a d20 to see if it gets through, though.
Oh, call us to roll
Noted.
too?
No, actually, I think I already made the decision that if the sending gets through, then the return message also gets through. So
Yeah.
forget the d20.
If y'all want to do something while Call thinks of how to phrase something in 25 words.
I'm happy.
Henry starts because Henry before doing the sending pulled out his little notebook that you saw earlier. That he wrote the call's response in. And so he took that out. He has a pencil ready. So he did the sending, and he's just kind of sitting there waiting. And as he's waiting, he starts to doodle a flower, and it's like surprisingly realistic. It's not just like a doodle, all the loops in the circle. Like it's a pretty realistic looking flower. Leaves and stuff, and you don't recognize it, but yeah.
It's a pretty flower.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know Henry can draw.
He can draw plants. He's really good at drawing plants.
I like that. I think that's cute.
Look at these. These are my
Orange
Orin
dice.
dice.
Yes.
I'm trying to get the light to hit them right.
Yeah, they look like alchemical fire in real life. It's really cool.
Where's the 20 at?
I will say, Henry thought about talking to Orin because just everything Jenna does reminds Henry of Orin. But he's just like, nope. Not gonna tell anybody that we don't have to.
That's fair.
They're just...
Okay. So Call's response comes through and says, I don't think danger? Cautious though. They also offered to send me home on Dual Moon. I miss everyone too. You all okay?
Who the hell is they?
Oh, Ren don't trust like that.
So as soon as Henry can hear Call's voice, he like instantly like relaxes. Like I think Ren would have picked up that he's hearing the response, and he's writing it down furiously. And then he reads it aloud to Ren, and then as soon as he's done reading it, looks up and says, "Can we get another sending scroll right now? Who is they?"
Let's ask. So yeah, Ren is gonna
Go.
go bother Barnabas this time because it's not very cool if he's like, "Hey Kenda, can you give me like a daily sending scroll? Like, can I just bum another one off of you?" So he has to spread out his begging antics, I guess.
Okay. Just to kind of streamline slightly, we'll say you get there. Barnabas still looks pretty haggard, but when he realizes you're there to ask him to do something for you rather than what has happened recently, he kind of jumps into action a little bit. He says, "I don't have any sending scrolls, but I do have the spell. Can you give me the message and I can relay it?"
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
Astro, do you want to plot?
Yeah, I'll type something up. Okay.
Okay.
I get
Okay,
to use
so-
my Barnabas dice.
Barnabas dice. Okay. Henry, has his little notebook and he looks up at Ren and he's like, Henry just sits down on the floor of Barnabas's office.
Henry sits down right across from Henry, just like, okay, yeah, let's do
We
this.
sit down. He's like, okay, we have something, and there's no time to waste looking for a fucking chair. We're doing this now.
Yes.
And
Lots of chairs.
Ren's been hanging out with Kenda. Who needs chairs?
yeah, Penda laying on the floor, drowning in scrolls.
It's a nerd trance with magic glasses.
Henry sits down, cross-legged. He pulls out the notebook. He's like, okay, they asked if we're okay. We should reassure them first. Oh God, what should we say though?
We're okay.
We're okay. Yeah, we're okay. Yeah,
Ren's okay.
We're okay. We're fine. We're fine.
We are fine. Henry crosses that out and it's like, making it. We're making it.
Okay. Who is they?
Yes. Yeah. We are making it unharmed. Who is they? What is the cost?
Who is they? What cost?
Henry wants to, is talking like, what's the best wording for, should we coordinate the time so that we're not trying to get them back at the same time as the other person sending it? Or like, which one should we try first?
As the other person sending it, what do you mean?
So Call says they offered to send me home on a dual moon. So if we have Jenna trying to Henry definitely says Jenna in front of Barnabas. Does not even clock that he's saying it though. And he's like, Jenna said that if we try to do should we try to get them back with Jenna first, or Kenda first next, or should we? And then if that doesn't work, we can tell Call that whoever this mysterious they is can try to send them back. But I think we should definitely try to coordinate a time.
Ren looks a little agitated. His answer is, "I trust Kenda more." We don't know the cost of whomever Call is talking to.
Yeah.
Who is they? What cost? Trustworthy methods here.
Trustworthy methods here.
I think Ren actually does
Should
forget
be
to
first.
use Kenda's honorific then. I think he actually just says Kenda. Let's see.
I think there's a way to turn off autofocus. Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, what did Okay, yeah, Ren wants to ask for a little bit of elaboration on something Call said in their last Sunday.
Yeah.
Because they also added big figure outside in distance. So Ren wants to ask, big figure? Okay, so far that's like 13 words. We're doing good here, I think. Making it unharmed. Who is they? What cost? Trustworthy methods here. Big figure? Question mark.
8, 9. So what I have written down is 23 words, and it's, we are making it unharmed. Who is they? What is the cost? Trustworthy methods here should be first. Big figure. Next message tomorrow. Here. Do you want me to put that in the chat? Should I share my screen?
Yeah. I wrote it down.
Okay.
So you said we are making it unharmed. Who is they? What is the cost? Trustworthy methods here should be first. Big figure. Next message tomorrow.
Mhm.
I think Ren is gonna mention that he already kind of told Call that yeah, I guess next message tomorrow does clarify. If we can fit in something like this, Ren wants to ask, do you need anything upon your return? Like, do you need anything like when we get you back? Like, are you hungry? Doesn't mention does Call need clothes because that's kind of assumed. But yeah, are you hungry? Do you need anything, medicine or anything? Needs upon return, I guess would be the shortest way to say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a lot.
So maybe we're making it.
Well, it's just like, yeah. But it's more just like, we are asking so many questions. There's no way that Call's gonna be able to respond in 25. Maybe they can.
That's true. Well, you're right. You're right, though.
Because, so maybe take out big figure.
Yeah. Okay, we're making it unharmed. Who is they? What is the cost? Trustworthy methods here should be first. Next message tomorrow.
Needs upon return.
20 words.
And Barnabas is saying this, so it can't be "love you so much."
Jenny has almost killed you
Why did you
twice
say
tonight, Asher.
Why'd you say it with that tone, Asher?
Just like your expression, I read it as I mean, we could get Barnabas to say it. Why not? I don't know if that's what you were actually thinking, but that's what I read on your face.
No, more like Asher. But, yeah, we could get Barnabas to say it maybe. But no, not doing that. Everyone misses you probably summed that up, so we're trying to be efficient with words. But okay, we're making it unharmed.
We will get you back.
Who is they? What is the cost? Trustworthy methods here.
How about so after trustworthy methods here should be first. Something like will message after attempted.
Ren feels like that's kind of assumed, and they are gonna have to wait like 3 days to attempt that anyway. But Ren really wants to ask about the big figure. Cause yeah, like in the middle of Call's last response, that was like, "Not your fault, not hurt. Sphere in space, furnished like a room, definitely magical. Big figure outside in distance, not alone in here. Limitations noted. So just a big figure outside the distance."
So assuming that Ren is saying this to Henry, Henry is like, but this is Call. They have so many questions. Of course they're going to notice everything and want to know what everything is.
You're not alarmed by the big figure outside in the distance?
I feel like they made it, maybe. Let's add it in there. Big figure question mark, because that way if it's actually not that important and they're just curious, they'll leave it out. But if it's big scary figure in the distance coming at me and is going to kill me, I think they would note that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we're at 22 words right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're making it unharmed. Who is they? What is the cost? Trustworthy methods here should be first, or should be prioritized, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, should be prioritized. Big figure, next message tomorrow.
Next message tomorrow, same time. And then as Henry is suggesting that, he looks up at Master Barnabas and says, "Could we trouble you for a message again tomorrow?"
He is kind of looking at the message, reading over it, and he looks up and says, "Of course."
Henry falls in love with Barnabas. Anyway, I think what he actually says is, "Thank you so much," with his eyes closed. And then reads it aloud. We've read it so many times. Henry reads it aloud again. It says, "We're making it unharmed. Who is they? What is the cost? Trustworthy methods here should be prioritized. Needs upon return? Big figure? Next message tomorrow, same time."
All right, go ahead and put that in the chat for me. And
Oh, that's 27 words. I think we can cut same time.
Is someone counting contractions and someone isn't?
It's 27. No,
Okay.
they're right.
Yeah, I just have it in Google Docs, and I'm regularly just opening up word count. So yeah. Um, Because I think we don't really need to specify same time, just in case our plans change too, and we need to like send it at a different time. But at least
Yeah,
tomorrow is reassuring, like
I
regularly.
I just want to point out, and I think Henry would point this out too, of like in your original sending, you said once a day, and will now be the third sending we're doing in the same day. So,
What? It's the second.
Yeah, this is the second. Because
no.
Ren's first sending to call was the night before this.
Oh, it was the day that. No.
It was the day that call
Oh,
went missing.
because Ren. Okay, no, but from Call's perspective, they got it today, this afternoon, when they woke up.
That's true.
And
So,
then just now with Henry, and then this one. So from Call's perspective, it's 3 in one day.
yeah,
That's
and Ren is like,
why.
no, let's just send call a bunch of these.
Yeah, Henry's the one who said let's go fucking right now and send another one. But so he's on the same page as Ren. But that's why I think he's fighting for the same time, is because to make it clear, like, okay, we will calm the fuck down. You don't need to be waiting for a message.
Okay, but I think next message tomorrow also implies that, like, okay, we're gonna wait a little bit before contacting you again.
Okay.
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 So, all right.
Final
ending with
answer.
next message tomorrow.
Yes.
Cool.
Final answer. It's in the chat.
I'm sorry. I'm just imagining like Ren and Henry both like hunching over a piece of paper, and they're both scribbling
Yes.
shit out with little charcoal pencils and stuff.
Yes,
So
I like same energy of like the red strings and like, okay, so what are we gonna say? And then like very manic energy in this room. And Henry loves Barnabas. Henry thinks Barnabas is cool as shit. Henry has not done an insight check. Henry has given 0 shits about what Barnabas is thinking. Like, he's not actively like, look, since Barnabas is being kind and is not offering up any sort of like about it, Henry's just like, okay.
Barnabas hasn't gone, whoa, 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 yet.
Following up with Barnabas.
Faster than you would expect. Wait, did Barnabas go ahead and send it?
Oh, I need to roll to make sure you get it.
I
you
would
get
like
it.
that.
You get it.
Cool. Okay. Well, then faster than you would expect, Call's reply comes through to Barnabas. Call says, "That was fast. They are Vic, not real name. Say they made this pocket. Skeleton arm, face obscured. Haven't mentioned cost. They knew about me."
Should we write our response right now? And then that way, and he looks up at Master Barnabas, that way you can have, that way it's available to you.
He does a flourish, and his hand glows green, and he seems to be just thinking for a moment and says, I could send one more today, and I will have the ability tomorrow.
Ren cannot turn that down. Lied about tomorrow.
Like I'm sorry. Henry has to respond to that. Henry is going to have a response to what Barnabas said.
Okay, actually, sorry, to rephrase what Barnabas says. Barnabas, like, his hand like does glow green for a moment, and he says, if you give me an hour, I can send another one. And he will use Arcane Recovery to recover a 3rd level spell slot, but it takes a short rest. So.
Thank you very much. Ren is very composed.
Henry's just like completely like shocked, and he's like, I don't know how we can ever repay you. Very emotional.
Does Henry have the wherewithal to get insight on Barnabas's expression?
I think in this moment, yeah, because he'd just be like, why are you helping us? Why are you giving so much for this? Like he believes in the goodness of people, but this is just like a lot. Barnabas is giving a lot.
Roll an insight check.
Oh, that is a 24.
Given that he's not really trying to hide it, you were just beating a DC of can you read his face.
No.
Still, 24 is good. You get full intentions rather than vague intentions. It seems plain on his face he does not think that there is enough he can do.
Why? 24 insight.
Um, he feels for Ren, and also it's more of he has been lying to his friend for years, and like he is he can actually see the future, and nothing about him makes you think that he is like a super big believer in karma, but also he just kind of generally feels guilty and
So
wants to.
it's like he's trying to make amends by doing good. He's trying to like pay it forward kind of thing.
Mhm.
Okay. Man, that makes Henry suspicious. Okay. No, that's suspicious. Curious. That makes Henry curious.
So y'all have an hour
Yeah.
of not being too loud as to disturb Barnabas out of his short rest, but an
I
hour
think
to discuss your next sending.
um okay, so Henry I think says to Barnabas, well, thank you again. We will leave you to your rest. Can I bring you anything? Hot chocolate? French fries? Funnel
Um,
cake?
he just kind of walks to his desk and opens a drawer and pulls out some baked good. You there's
Some
store
baked good
fries.
that Henry doesn't know?
You just can't tell. Like it's
Okay.
if you were able to examine it, maybe. But like he pulls out something that looks bready,
Mm.
and just begins to eat it. They are store fries. Excuse you.
Dora's great claim to fame. Not
Yeah, that
vanquishing a dragon. It's
not killing a dragon, not founding a city, not the first ruler of a county. He fried potatoes first.
I really want to draw like a cartoonishly like not ugly but like borderline devilish picture of Andrew for the logo.
Okay, so here's an option for like kind of what Ren is thinking. So we need to shuffle that around while Barnabas is resting.
What'd you say?
That feels so judgy.
What?
I missed
Here
it.
was the message.
It's in gameplay side chat
Yeah.
What? No, but why is everybody laughing?
because of
I
what
didn't hear.
because of what Ren put in gameplay side chat.
Oh, okay.
And then Bronwyn said that it feels judgy.
That does sound a little judgy, doesn't it?
Like, is that 25 words exactly?
No.
Okay. I feel like maybe I don't trust vague deals with
Yeah.
shifty skeletons.
Oh, yeah, because if you read it as a command of "don't trust,"
Yeah, that sounds
Versus-
bad.
versus "yeah, I don't trust that."
Okay, yeah, Ren doesn't trust vague deals with shifty skeletons. Okay.
Um,
You don't know me.
There. Is that a little less patronizing?
A little.
Oh, a little, vaguely. Okay. Okay, how about this? Not that.
uh, I think. Oh, you moved it.
How about like that?
I think Henry would say, maybe don't say wish because Call doesn't know about Kenda. So just say Kenda's spell, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, also,
Good evening,
uh,
Dr. Kenda.
um, should we put something like if Vic created the pocket dimension, why are they so willing to let something leave?
Okay.
How many words do we have?
I'm rearranging some stuff. I'm a copywriter.
I'll just say something further that Barnabas might have actually said in response to why are you giving so much?
Mhm.
He would say, it is the evening. I'm about to go to sleep, so any energy I spend here, I'll have back in the morning. Um, and then also everything that you read on his face.
Mhm.
Like, he doesn't expect to have to spend any more energy today. So he thinks that this is worth it.
Okay.
Okay. What do we think of this then?
Love it. Love it. That's perfect.
Yeah? Okay.
Mhm.
So that's what you're sending? That's what you're planning to send?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. So after about an hour call, you, once again in Barnabas' voice, receive Well, actually, I have to roll for it. You receive that message.
It will take Call a moment longer to give the response back.
By now, it's like we're approaching 10 p.m.
I like that you have spilled that Barnabas likes pastries because now there's nothing stopping Henry from bringing Barnabas pastries.
I didn't say it was a pastry.
You did say it was
I said it was.
pastry.
I said it was bready.
And there's nothing stopping Henry from bringing an assortment platter from the bakery.
Of baked
Savory and
goods.
sweet. Baked goods. Ready options. Question. World building question. Kenda has a lot of secretaries, administrative assistants. Does Barnabas have one? Does Barnabas have any assistants?
Not that you know of, but also Kenda teaches classes. Barnabas has individual students.
So they're like TAs.
Like, yes, but it's more of like interns that you just do everything that you're told, rather than you have a list of things that are your duties that you always tend to. Also, I'll go as far as to say that Ren would know this. Kenda doesn't have like a set amount of assistants. It's not like if one leaves, they immediately replace the position. It's kind of just like, I kind of like this person, or this person will do as I tell them, and they're then hired. Who knows if they're paid in any way?
I doubt they are.
Paid in sexual favors.
At least one of them is. It's at least a benefit.
Benefit.
Some people get dental.
I mean,
They don't even have dental.
maybe they
don't
get
even
dental
have sexual
dams.
favors.
I don't think latex has been invented.
The equivalent of dental dams.
Like
Magical
leaf.
dental dams.
A
sheep
leaf.
stomach.
Yeah, sheep stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Pig's bladder.
Yeah.
In Little House on the Prairie, the dad butchers a pig, and they they clean out the bladder and they blow it up like a balloon and play with it like a ball.
That was what they did.
Reusable.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Or vinegar would, because vinegar is a disinfectant. I wonder if vinegar would degrade animal.
Oh, definitely would.
So I guess
yeah.
there's not really a way to disinfect it.
Vinegar is super acidic.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess alcohol. Maybe because like, okay, if you take like an egg, like just an uncooked egg, and you like soak it in a jar of vinegar, the shell will dissolve. So you just have this weird little
like the
blob.
membrane, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, vinegar is I don't think corrosive is the right term, but
Mm-mm. But it does change the chemical makeup of things. So that's why like tickling
Hey,
things happen.
when Ren was doing his interplanar travel study, did he ever talk to the party about that shit? Or no?
no.
Okay.
It's not like he was actively trying to hide it. He just didn't like say, "Hey guys, by the way, guess what I'm studying?" Um I mean, he did tell them what Oliver said. Um
But
I
he,
do remember him telling Henry and Call that, "Hey, so my friend in the ring is actually half stuck in Shadowfell, so I want to find a way to help him." But I think that's the farthest he went as far as like saying, "Hey, I'm gonna study how to jump between planes." Um, because Ren loves doing that. So, and yeah, vinegar is an acid and as such can be corrosive even in weak solutions. Distilled white vinegar has a pH around 2.4, making it more acidic than almost everything except stomach and battery acid. Fun facts from prohousekeepers.com.
What
Um,
isopropyl alcohols or ethanol?
hmm,
Ethanol's pH 7.33. It's not very acidic.
yeah.
No, that's more basic. What makes something a disinfectant?
Okay. Give me just a second and I think I'll have my answer. Alright. So, after a longer gap than the first one, Call's response comes through, and they say, "Trust your judgment. I think my location was accidental. Said they find things that are lost. Seemed interested in getting me back to Katugar specifically."
Hmm.
Okay, so let's write out a response, and then we can give that, and we can give it to you. I point at Mr. Barnabas, so that whenever you can tomorrow. Um, do we want to think on it? We want to move on, and we can think on it and give it to Barnabas tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. I think Henry asks, um, when would you be free tomorrow to do this again?
to Barnabas?
Yeah.
Um, there's a little bit of like remorse is wrong. Remorse is too heavy of a word. But like he looks a little sorry as he says, um, my position often requires me to use high levels of magic. Um, so I would prefer to do it later in the day when I know that I won't um, be of need of my spells for other purposes.
course. Of course. Okay. Um, so should we come by around 7 or 8? 9?
I think around 8th bell would be good.
Um, thank you again, and I hope you find peace in your sleep.
He kind of gives a sad smile and nods.
Hey, Arthur, stop it. Okay.
Get that boy some bad kitty spray.
He is about to get the bad kitty spray.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else they want to do tonight?
Nope.
I think that's it right now.
All right. So we might jump a little bit into the next day. So first of all, neither of you are able to sleep in at all because things are loud in the morning. There are people yelling. There are animals that are animaling. Because today's the day the expedition is leaving. Is there anything y'all want to do as far as talking to anybody who might be leaving?
Patch leaving?
Patch is one of few members of the Corps of Light.
Yes, beat duty.
Percentage-wise, more members of the Corps of Light are leaving than the other two corps. Because they want to be prepared to heal any injuries. But so there's pretty small numbers of each of the corps staying behind, but there's only like a dozen or so of the Corps of Light that are staying, including Henry and Patch. Henry and Patch are the only two who aren't druids who are staying behind, exactly for what Asher mentioned, is they're keeping eyes on the gates still for any for the death.
Is there anybody that Ren wants to talk to?
Can't without a sending scroll, but yeah.
Yay. Okay. Well, Henry is gonna go see the Hearts this morning for breakfast.
Oh, right. So yeah, I guess we can jump into that. Call just called himself a nerd. Or I guess Bronwyn called Call a nerd.
I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong.
But yeah, we can go ahead and jump into a heart conversation. A heart to heart.
A heart to heart. Heart to heart to heart. I'm all about Cameron Monaghan. My hardcore celebrity crush right now, on par with Matt Smith during my Doctor Who days and Ben Barnes during my Shadow and Bone phase. I am now hardcore crushing on Cameron Monaghan, who is the actor that Trent looks like because of the show we're watching, Shameless. So
Oh my god, that is a hardcore crush.
it's a hardcore crush. Like, it's weird that it's been all men. I haven't had a hardcore crush on a non-man before, but here we are. I'm gonna try to keep my composure.
Is this gonna be your first time talking to him since we started watching Shameless?
Yes.
For context, I finished Shameless today.
11 seasons. I'm on season 5. I'm almost done with season 5. Like that's crazy. Anyway, Henry goes and sees the hearts. Um, he I think he looks around in the bakery to see if he recognizes like if anything looks like what Barnabas was eating. No?
Make a perception check.
Yeah. 18.
Um, even with an 18, it you know you still don't get it if there's nothing there. Um, and there you don't notice anything that looks exactly like what brief
Okay.
glimpse you got of Barnabas's bready thing.
All right, he's filing that in his mind. He's making moves. Um, okay. He gets his normal assortment of pastries, including the ones that every single one that he has seen Chels and Trent eat, plus his favorites, plus like 2 new ones that he's never brought before, if possible. Perception check for the walk there.
Go right ahead.
This is a 4. It's a 4, my guy.
You luckily find the Heart's house.
Great. Do I see Trent on the roof?
Trent could
Okay.
get a nat 1 with nothing active to boost his roll and double your perception check.
Henry goes to knock on the door.
There is a brief wait, maybe slightly longer than you're used to, before Chels opens the door.
And he very brightly smiles and bows, and he's like, "Good morning, Lady Hart."
She returns your bow with a very slight curtsy, and puts on a very bright smile. Kind of knowingly glances to the pastry box, and leads you in.
Right. I think he asks her how she is, if she slept well, normal questions.
She kind of chuckles a little bit and says, "Much going on, isn't there?"
Did you hear those trumpets yesterday? I
Uh,
guess there's no way you couldn't have.
she rolls her eyes a little bit and is like, "They came down my street."
That is a good point. Uh, um, happy to find that your hair is not standing on end from the volume.
um, she kind of grins a little bit and says, "Who's to say it wasn't?"
Uh, you must have a very patient lady's maid to have brushed that out, and for it to look so nice this morning, if it were.
Um, she kind of eyes you, just eyes you.
Insight check.
Go ahead.
17.
Um, I think you got it, but I just need to double check. Well, meets it does beat it. Her expression a little bit says, you know very well the care I put into my hair type thing.
What?
Yeah, you had. Hang on, am I getting confused with your AU? because in your freaking AU, you always are doing her hair.
Yeah.
Um,
Because Henry would notice her hair, so it makes sense that it would be written every time he sees her, because he would make it.
considering you have expressly said that you do small talk with her often,
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think, and hair is something that's important to Henry. I think that is something that y'all would have talked about frequently. So, and enough for this look to be warranted.
Of like, I do my hair nicely every morning, kind of thing.
The kind of look of not like haughty, but just
Mhm.
like a you know that I put care into this.
Okay. Uh, I love this. I love this so much. Um, like a disapproving look.
There's some gay shit happening in the side chat right now.
Some real gay shit.
Sorry, not sorry. I will flirt with my spouse.
Please continue. Jenny, you were muted for that.
I said I will flirt with my wife in the group chat.
I love it. Please continue. Um, all right. Well, after their cute little banter, which makes Henry feel really good. Um, I guess they make it to the table, and Henry opens the box and pours himself a cup of coffee and Chills a cup of coffee.
Okay.
Is Trent around?
Not yet.
Uh, uh, so I think just kind of casually, since they are talking about trumpets and such, I think Henry goes, "So, did you, do you, I mean, obviously we heard the victory, but did you hear anything else about what was happening?"
Um, are you trying to hide that you know anything about that?
About what?
Well,
About the war?
you know that there's a little bit fishy going on with the declaration of victory. Are you trying to hide that information?
No, I think that would be maybe be part because Henry's just saying this casually. Um, I think he is trying to hide his intentions for why he's asking, but I think he would be like, I don't think he's trying to hide that he's already talked to people about this.
Okay. Um, she spends a very brief second looking at you, and then a bit of a wry smile goes across her face as she says, "I keep hearing odd reports that maybe victory wasn't so victorious."
I heard about the same from some of the soldiers yesterday. I wonder what that's about.
She kind of shrugs very non-committally, um, and then, um, but you did request this meeting before you knew that before obviously the procession came through. Was there something else you wanted to talk about?
I think Chels would, as a very perceptive person, she would notice that a lot of emotions go over Henry's face, even like this is not a normal day for
Mhm.
Henry. And he goes, "Did I just send that 2 days ago? Feels like a lifetime since I requested this meeting. I just wanted to see you. I just wanted to, uh, but yesterday, or no, the day before, uh, Call is missing. Call is gone. Call is, uh, so I think Henry's gonna take a second to collect himself because he knows that he's rambling. Does Chels say anything while he does that?
Her brow furrows kind of heavily, and she says, "What happened? Do you know if they're okay?"
Um, yeah, they're safe. They're okay. To start from the beginning, they were cornered by the Light Hands, by Miss Erin and crew by themselves, and she propositioned them with a deck of many things. And like he says, deck of many things. Like I don't know what this is, but I'm repeating what I've heard. Um, and Call drew a card and was sent to a pocket dimension. But we've been able to contact them with sending, and they're okay. They're safe, and we have multiple plans of how to get them back within the next few days. So, um, it was very, very busy between when I requested this meeting and now, but I think I'm as okay as I can be because we have so many contingency plans.
Um, she kind of nods about the contingency plans, like, um, and she like kind of thinks for a moment and then says, "Well, you seem at least relatively confident that you can get them back, but you seem still very stressed. Is it just your missing friend who you are fairly certain you can recover, or is there something else?"
And it just kind of smiles like, yeah, you very perceptive. Um, like kind of not like kind of smiles in like a not defeated, but um, like yeah. I mean, I am still stressed about that because it still could go wrong, and though we do have contingency plans, some cost more than others. But also the war. The war was weighing heavily on my mind. I was trying to push it back while we dealt with the Knoll and Mount Scylla and the Light Hands and all of the things that have been happening since I graduated. And I was trying to find reasons to not go and try to stop it myself. Though, how could I have done that? I don't know. And now it's over. And it seems to be over out of nowhere, which makes me think it was for no reason at all, or at least not for a good reason. And I can't stop thinking about the friends I have in Goron and wondering if any of them died for a war that didn't even matter.
Um, her face is picturesque concern and like appropriate response. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you don't the you don't see calculation. You don't see any bullshit. She just
Mm.
seems like concerned for what you're telling her. Um, and she kind of like leans a little closer to you and says, "There is much that is wrong with this world." Oop, bye, Bronwyn.
No.
Bronwyn's back. Are we good, Bronwyn?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Um, she leans in close and she says, "There's much that's wrong with this world, and there are many who are at fault. But being too far away is not a reason to blame yourself."
I think just like a tear, and Henry's trying not to cry, really, really trying not to cry, but a tear spills over and he wipes it away quickly. Um, and he nods and kind of ducks his head and doesn't respond for a while. Would Jill say anything else while he's kind of
She she would give him space to compose himself.
um, um, hmm. He kind of clears his throat and he's like, that is a very logical assessment of this situation. Very insightful, as always. Uh, I hope I can believe it.
Um, she kind of nods at the compliment of her being always being insightful. Like not like a yeah I am, but like a thank you nod. Um, and then at the other part of that, she kind of, I mean, to use game lingo, she very much looks to be giving you an insight check to like determine what if you are like if you're being honest, if you actually feel that way. And she kind of just like looks at your face a little closer and then says, there are those who started that war. There are those who sent hundreds to their death and planned to and would have been willing to send hundreds more. There are those at fault for this. You are not one.
Thank you. Tell me, what is your opinion on fault? If one could have prevented something, but since they were not in the right place, they didn't.
You can only know if you're in the right place after. There's no learning where is right before you're there. And there's no guarantee. She kind of chuckles a little bit. Um, let's not make this vague. For whatever reason, you believe that if you were closer, you could have stopped this war. You have no way of knowing that. You could have been sitting next to the king, his most trusted advisor, for decades, and advised him against it in every way. And he may have still declared war. For all you know, had you not come here, hundreds would have died here. There is no use to this wondering if you're in the right place.
Yep.
She looks a little over your shoulder and says, find who is important to you and spend your time protecting them. The back of your chair is bumped into heavily as Trent comes swooping around the table to devour what's left in the pastry box.
I think Henry uses this as a golden opportunity to get the fuck out of this conversation, and laughs as his chair is bumped, and then you can decide if Chels picks up on what he's doing, but he does not respond to what Chels says. Laughs at Chels bumping into his chair, and says, "Do you hear that, Trent? You're the most important thing to Chels, if you didn't already know that."
He is sitting down with his feet on the table, and a pastry that is already half gone in his hand. And he kind of just glares at you. And of course says nothing.
Henry would have said Lady Hart and Lord Hart. He wouldn't have said Chelsea Trent. That's a pretty sassy look for somebody directed at the person who brought you breakfast.
He makes an elaborate show of placing the pastry onto his other hand and then holding it over the table and just turning his hand until it falls onto the table.
I think Henry turns to Chels and says, "Well, since pastries are of no consequence, what should I bring next time?" Just looking directly at Chels.
Chels is looking
something
at
savory, perhaps.
Chels is looking at Trent, kind of no real expression, just kind of like a listening expression. And then after a while, just sighs and says, she sighs and says, like, under influence of a truth spell, we already talked about this, directed at Trent. Under the influence of what is the name of that fucking spell? Zone of Truth. We already spoke of this. And Trent just kind of like turns his head away.
Referring to respond with what Henry would take from this, referring to what she said under Zone of Truth, that they'll do anything to protect each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It did nothing to do with breakfast. Happened in the Zone of Truth.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about, I wasn't sure if she was somehow referring to that Henry gave no caveats for not stopping them for things. I think Henry tries to not laugh, but a tiny laugh noise escapes as he tries to smother it with a cough, and then picks up a different pastry.
Trent starts sharpening a knife.
I think Henry changes the topic and says, "So on top of everything else, the expedition is also leaving today. I assume the two of you were not leaving?"
When you said the expedition is leaving today, she cuts in with, has left.
Oh. I somehow missed that.
They were leaving early. Like they were
Oh.
like packing up to leave as you came this way.
Okay, so I guess Henry would have seen that. So he'd be like, "Yep, okay." So then, Yeah. Um. Well. Henry's trying to find a tactful way of saying, well, I guess I'm not going to ask you any follow-up questions on that. Um, I think Henry asks a question about I think Henry makes small talk until Trent leaves.
How long is he willing to do that?
I mean, doesn't usually Trent like kind of disappear after he eats?
I mean, sometimes it's not a certainty though.
Um, okay, well, I think Henry asks, so do y'all have any plans today? I mean, not, plans that you can tell me about.
Chels gives a little bit of a wicked grin and says, "Still plenty of courtiers and those at the in court. Plenty to talk to, plenty to learn."
I think Henry just kind of just talks about whatever. I think he tries to talk about like Chelsea's interests that they've talked about before, and kind of notices when Trent has finished eating and sees if he's like, and then maybe a couple minutes after that, and is Trent still around after that?
Let me make a roll. Are you trying to hide that you're keeping tabs on Trent? Ash?
No.
Okay. Well then, yeah.
I mean, like I think he looks over at Trent because I feel like in the past it's always been like he's looking at Chels for most of it because she's the one talking, and then he'll look over at Trent to kind of like keep him in the conversation, and then Trent disappears. So I think he's doing that same kind of thing. So it's not like obvious, super obvious, but
Make
they
a
want to read
deception
into
check with advantage, because you are right that is something you always do. Wouldn't be hard to try to continue doing.
with the 22.
22. All right. A bit into the conversation, as topics drift from one to another, you do try to include him one more time, and he is not there.
I think Henry talks about one other inconsequential thing, and then kind of is quiet for a minute and is serious and says, I know earlier I said we had multiple contingencies for getting call back, but somehow multiple is not enough. So I just have to ask, do you know of any ways to interplanar travel?
She kind of raises an eyebrow and is like, "I suppose I'm flattered, but no, that is above my purview."
We've been finding answers in interesting places, unexpected places, I should say. So I wasn't sure if I would find an answer in an unexpected place. Um, while talking about serious things, couple, and then he asks her something very silly, like, "What's your favorite color?" or something like, "What do you like, chocolate or vanilla?" Some like very inconsequential question, instead of asking a serious question.
Okay.
And if she wants to do an insight check on that, he was about to ask more about the war and then abruptly decided to not.
What's your deception?
Good. 22 again.
All right. Now, 21 is smaller than 22. So
Is there anything else I need to ask her? I think as they because she usually walks them to the door, right?
Mhm.
I think as they're kind of like wrap up and are walking to the door, before they get like halfway there, he says, "Thank you for caring, by the way."
she goes quiet for a minute after that and says, "I care for what I can afford to care for, and it doesn't cost much to care for you." You make it easy. And then she stands up and gestures to the door.
Yeah. Yeah, uncomfortable feelings. Let's get out of here. Henry does not say that, but I think Henry like smiles as soon as she says that and ducks his head. Uh, yes, Bronwyn, exactly. And he smiles and ducks his head, embarrassed. Like I think he's blushing. Usually he's flush. He is blushing. And he as they make it to the door, I think he says, "I wanted to ask another day that I could visit this week, but I'm sorry. I'm overthinking this. I know there's things I cannot ask about, and I don't want to ask when you can't meet. And
Let me
can
make
I
it
come back
easy.
in a few days?"
Trent and I will be leaving town when the dual moon begins. And before that, there is much for us to do in town. So it will have to be after the dual moon.
Well, I hope that amid your plans, you have time to celebrate Dos Lunas. Um,
She gives a
and
questioning look at that she's not hiding in any way.
sorry, Dual Moons. Bartolin. Um, I wish you luck. And it gives her like a very knowing look of like, I wish you luck with whatever you're gonna be doing. And then heads out.
Well, I think we're going to call it there with the other two members of the party losing it in the side chat.
Uh,
Where? No.
Jenny, did you tell Bronwyn?
What?
In my AU, at one point, Jenny, I asked you for help with my AU, like what to do next. One of my crazy thoughts that Ben vetoed was making Cellos a were-null.
I do not remember that. I had nothing to do with this.
I love that that thought came to you as well, Broderick, because it's perfect, right? It's perfect.
Yes. Where Null?
Where Null?
There, no. There, castle. Has anybody seen
Okay.
Young Frankenstein? It's a good movie.
Yes, but it's been a long time.
I'm gonna go ahead and end the live stream. Bye, anybody and everybody. Thanks for coming.
Bye, everyone.